more time.
See if I can mess up the screen as well. Okay. About, I guess 20 odd years ago, is this coming through? I thought Sasquatch was a myth from the Pacific Northwest, but didn't think any more of it. This is way before the internet. And then I started hearing about them in Ontario. And what, you mean they're not a myth? They actually exist? And we started doing a map. Come on. Okay, we got a map here. So this map's been going about 10 years, and we got over 300 reports now. Thank you, needed your help there. We have over 300 reports just for Ontario, and we've got about 57 investigators. We can pretty well cover Ontario. We're going to keep doing that, right? Our Facebook group's got, I don't know, 3,600 members, but we have 57 investigators in a private group where we share the information. We don't share the information about witnesses and everything in the FB group. What's the next slide? That one. Springtime, this is La Cloche up near Manitoulin Island. In the springtime, the ones that don't hibernate are looking for food. There's not much food. Sasquatch like going to the smelt runs. And this is a smelt run. About 11:30 at night, there's 3 people smelt fishing. And all of a sudden, some big boulders come flying out of the sky. And there's a hill there. And they shone their lights. And they figured that these boulders were coming from about 75 feet away. And they're about the size of a 10-pin bowling ball. And they're heavy. And they land on the grass. No one's ever been hit by a rock or a boulder. But they got scared and they left. So we were told about it. We went there. We found these big boulders laying on top of the grass. And it was the same length. The grass underneath wasn't dead, it was fresh, so we knew the rocks were pretty fresh. So there's maybe half a dozen bowling ball sized things tossed to scare people away. And that happens quite often. It's happened close to us in North Bay, where the smelters are driven away because Sasquatch want these fish. They've been starving all winter. They want the fish runs. So what's next? I see that you've talked about peanut butter, the peanut butter caper. We have a gifting area close to us where one of our members, Jim, has left peanut butter all the time for, I don't know, several years. We found this jar with what looks like a thumb. Looks like something big is pushed there, and it wasn't stretched. It was winter time, so the plastic's going to be fairly brittle, and it was just pushed right in. There was no chew marks like from a squirrel or something, and there was finger swipe marks all the way around the peanut butter thing. So I said to Jim, they don't know how to remove the lid. I said, next time you go in, next one please. Next time you go in, hold the peanut butter jar out in front of you and keep taking the lid off and putting it back on. So now we find the peanut butter jars with the lids unscrewed and laying on the ground. The finger swipes are still there where they cleaned the peanut butter out. And Jim's taught them how to take the lid off. One time he went in there, the peanut butter jars were gone. So he went back in and he took some fresh peanut butter jars. And the 2 that were missing were returned empty with the lids on and in place. They brought the empties back. Next slide, please. He's followed, and we were with him this day. He found this snow print. So I said, oh, I'd like to get some more information on that. So the following day we go in there and we go to the gifting area, which is where the snow print is. I get the information and then we start walking back. Next print, please. We were followed. And this print here, this is with my FLIR. This print here's got heat in it. And the heat's from compressing the snow. So the Sasquatch was just there. This is -12, so the Sasquatch is there just a few minutes before we had turned around to return. He was following us, and he said, oh, they're coming back. So he had to retreat. So he left these prints, which still got a little tiny bit of heat in them. And Jim's over here with a light shining it for me while I take it. These are 13-inch prints. And they're 54 inches apart. So we can't do that. We can't do that whether it's ground or snow. So he had to disappear in a hurry. But he was there just a couple of minutes before we got there. What's next? Oh, that's just me measuring the prints. Sorry, I gotta refer to my notes here. This is a very interesting one. There's one location down on Highway 69 where there's a hunt camp, and the owner's been having Sasquatch activity for 20-odd years. So he checks every spring, and he's walking along, and he finds these 16-inch prints, and he follows them for a few hundred yards, and they're joined by another set of prints that are 22 inches long. So now we got a male and a female, which he suspected. A couple of years before that, his son was laying in bed looking through the window, and a face came into the light, and it was a face with his hand on the roof peeking in like that. So we measured the eaves, and the eaves were 9'1", which means this guy had to have been around 10 feet or better. So we figured he's got 22-inch footprints, and the female has 16-inch. The next one, please. So we're gathered around the fire, and we're using a FLIR to monitor the woods, and we get this image here of eye shine. So I go and talk to the guy that's got it. He says, yeah, I'm watching eye shine. I said, I'm just going for a drink to my truck. So I go down to the truck and I get a drink, and I pull the cooler out and I leave it on the tailgate, and I come back up, and my partner says, oh, those eyes followed you all the way down or all the way back up. And I said, oh, okay. And then, play the video. While we're watching the eye shine here, a juvenile walks down to my truck to see what I left for him. We'll play it again. Oh, actually it slows up. So we figure this is the female, and this is one of her kids. He's walking through bushes, so the heat's showing on the head, which is above the bushes. So now we know we've got a male with 22-inch feet, a female with 16-inch feet, and at least one juvenile. But we know there's two juveniles, because when we're sitting around the fire, they'll throw pebbles onto the tin roof so that we'll give them some treats, usually a Snicker bar or a honeycomb or something. And what's our next one? Oh, that's just the reference picture showing what we were monitoring, and then the juvenile comes into view. So that's the only image we have of them, actually. You can go to the next one. I mentioned Jim, who goes at our local place, and he called me one day. This is just as COVID is starting, and he said, my nephew called me, and he's having some action. He doesn't know what it is. He never heard of Sasquatch. He lives in Belize normally. But when COVID started, he came up. He was in Canada, and the family has a cottage right on this peninsula here. So he hunkered down there while COVID was, well, during the lockdown. We all know about the lockdowns. And he was getting activity. During the day, like vocals and knocking during the day is very unusual. But he was getting that. And then he called Jim. Jim called me. I called another investigator, and we went down there to spend a couple of nights. And next one, please. So he's on, the cottage is on the peninsula here, and there's a little path going up. There's a generator house, and over here, there's a 40-foot cliff running around the point, and this is the south side of it. So the point, so the cliff is up here. This is the steep thing. The Sasquatch built a barricade right there. Next slide. So the barricade starts where the cliff is, and there's a whole bunch of it. This one here, this is a 7¼ inch log that's snapped in half like a paper clip. And the girl is standing here somewhere. Where is she? I don't see her. But, oh yeah, she's no. Anyway, this thing's 6 or 7 feet. This thing is 6 or 7 feet tall, and it's 87. There's around there. It's 87 feet long, and they built that in about 2 days. And well, there she is. So she's only about 5'6" or something, and this thing's higher than she is. So they built this wall barricade, but Sasquatch are pretty smart. Let's go to the next one. Next one. They watched us build fences. They watched surveyors build and mark it with orange tape. And that's what they did. There's no orange tape on the property. There's a stake here it's a surveyor stake that they got somewhere. And they got this other. This is on the underside of a tree they pushed over. This on one of the roots. So we know that's this one here. So we know this is fresh tape. So they didn't build a barricade, they built a fence. And they said, this is our yard, you stay on your side. And it's Jeff and Mara are the people there. I can give their first names so they don't even live in this country. They respect the fence, they don't go on that side. We showed them how to leave some foods as offerings of friendliness. So next one. When Jeff is, just after they built the wall, Jeff is fishing and they push this tree over. This tree is like 18 inches in diameter and it's already leaning a little bit, but they managed to push it over and snap it. And they did the same to him on the other side. In other words, okay, we got a fence, you stay over there, this is our side, and the activity started to diminish after that. And then Jeff and Mara went back to Belize. And next slide, please. They came back the following spring, and 2 trees have been pushed over by the generator shed, which Jeff removed. Next slide, please. And then he started the generator. The next morning, all these sticks are piled up against, there's a vent here. They tried to cover the sound. And they still had a little bit of daylight activity and nighttime, but each one is respecting the fence. So As far as I know, everything's still cool there. Next one, please. Oh, that's where I'm just measuring the length of it, like 87 feet in a couple of days, and it's all big stuff that we can't lift. Okay, what's on there? As far as I know, there's no more problems there. They're good neighbors now. We found a Sasquatch nest. There's 4 of us. One of the members is from England, one from Kitchener, and one from the French River area, and me. And we're located here. There's been previous sightings by our investigator, but we're hearing wood knocks over here. So we knock with this guy, we have a little conversation. I knock twice, he knocks twice, I knock 3 times, he knocks 3 times. This went on for about 20 minutes, and then from somewhere down by here, there's another knock, another Sasquatch, I guess. So this guy stops knocking. And then all of a sudden, there's a big splash in the creek, like someone's dropping a big heavy rock. And I think this conversation's over. So we start walking away slowly, and then there's another boulder. We're being herded out, and there's a third boulder. So we just leave. But then we come back the following day. And we go to where we think the rocks are being thrown. And we find a nest. Next one, please. Before, this is still the night before, I used the FLIR, and I can see 2 anomalies here. I can't tell what they are, but they're anomalies. That might be where he's thrown the rocks from. Next one, please. So we find this place the following day where there's rocks everywhere, and then we figure this is where he's thrown them from. Next one, please. We find this area that's like 20 feet in diameter, and there's a whole bunch of saplings, about 10 of them. They're all snapped at 5 feet, and they're all pointing into the center of this kind of circle. Next one, please. So we got this 20-foot circle, all these saplings snapped and pushed in. This is all grass that's packed down. And then we find some scat here, and we find scat there, and it's kind of a game trail. It's well worn. Next one, please. It's been rained on. This is about the size of a cow patty. We figure it's got to be Sasquatch. Each one of these is about the size of a corn cob. Might account for some of the screams we hear in the bush. So we figure that's Sasquatch scat. Is that a video?
Yeah, right afterwards, yeah.
I forget what it is. Oh, okay. Just pause it. This is the next topic, actually. It's where we get involved with the MNR and their reluctance to share things with us. So a guy, let's call him Nick. He's driving home from Algonquin Park, and he has a GoPro mounted on his bumper. And it's a 2-hour drive. At some point, his wife says, "Oh, what was that?" Well, he just said, "Okay, I got it," and he makes a note of the time mark on the time. And he gets home, and okay, now we can do it. He plays the video, and he finds this. A little bit of volume. Oh, yes, this one he uses. There's his GoPro camera. This is a clip from a 2-hour video. Oh, that's too much. That'll do. So Nick sends us this video, the full video. We put our name on it, Ontario Wildlife Field Research. That's our field group. And just when you get to my notes here. I have to read you an email that Nick sent me because it involves the MNR. I exchanged several too many notes. One more. So Nick sends me this email where he's in North Bay, which happens to be the local headquarters for MNR, and they're questioning about this video. Who has it? He says, we haven't shared it with anybody. Apparently this is a meeting in North Bay. They've got 37 MNR officers there, and they're being given trail cameras, and they're being briefed on how to deal with our friend here, Sasquatch. MNR is very interested in who knows about this video. So as Nick says, well, you've already published it, it's a bit late now. They're trying to keep it quiet. And Nick says, do you know about the Hebert photographs? And I say, no. He says, they're on Google Earth. Apparently they were loaded to Panoramio. Now we can go to the next one. So we've got these 3 photos. They were found on Google Earth. I contacted Don Hebert. I can use his name now because they passed away. They were in their 70s when we were talking about this, and this was like 10, 12 years ago. This is one of the best pictures of a Sasquatch, and Don took it one morning when they were opening up the cottage in April. He managed to get the picture. This is one of the old digital cameras that's only got a small memory card, so he had to delete a few pictures first. But he did. He got this one. He looked at his camera, and then all of a sudden the thing's disappearing. You get one more picture to the right there, to the right a little bit. You got this one more picture on the right, just as the Sasquatch is taken off. So the MNR is not too happy we got these pictures either.
Did they say why they're not happy?
Well, they don't exist. You know they don't exist.
They know they exist.
No.
They don't want us to know.
They're using our tax dollars to pay people to pretend they don't exist. It's way beyond time that this went public. As you've heard before, there's no secret about whether they exist or not. It's how widespread are they, and why is it a secret?
Yeah. Do you know why?
Well, I suspect it's because look at the trouble they go to when they find wood turtles. You can't log until the wood turtles have been protected and everything else. So it's going to affect mining, it's going to affect logging, it's going to affect revenue in provincial parks. And some people aren't going to go to provincial parks because they think they got a 12-foot monster to worry about. So yeah, it's revenue, it's always money about money, right? So where are we with this? Mr. and Mrs. Hebert, first of all, 2 days after this happened, they go to Temagami OPP and they report it. And the officer, we know what time, we know the date, the time, and everything else. I have it documented. He laughs at them and says, well, okay, I'll take the report. So he takes the report. They give him the photographs, copies of the photographs. They go to a lawyer and to save the copyright, the lawyer gives them the copyright for the photographs, and their clerk, in error, puts it on Panoramio to prove the registration of the copyright, not knowing that Panoramio puts all their stuff on Google Earth, which is how come we got it. So they go back to the cottage. An M&R guy shows up with 2 biologists, a guy called Mike and his assistant Andrea. And I said, did you get their business cards? Oh, no. Okay. Did you get the license plate? No. What were they driving? Oh, he was driving a white Escalade. I said, you sure it's an Escalade? Yeah, it has the Fish and Game logo on the side. Okay, well, he must be a pretty senior biologist if he's driving an Escalade.
Yeah.
So I try to find Mike. I find Mike in the North Bay M&R office. Are you responsible for Duncanson Lake? Yep. Oh, what do you know about Mr. and Mrs. Hebert? Who are they? I said, they're the people that you went and spent 3 days with. Wasn't me. Wasn't me. Okay. We don't have anything to nail it. We can't nail him with it. We don't have his business card. We don't have his license plate number. We got nothing. It's just his word against ours, except we tell the truth. We're still fighting with them, actually. They'd like us to go away, but we're not going anywhere. What's we got next? Oh, this is Washington State. They passed a law back in whenever it was, 2023. They recognize Sasquatch. Why don't we recognize Sasquatch? Now, this isn't official because although the House passed it, it went to the Senate for vote, and the Senate hasn't voted on it because there's the for and there's against. So it's sitting in limbo, but officially it passed the House. They recognize Sasquatch. And it's time Ontario recognize Sasquatch. They talk about it out west like it's nothing, but here there's still a ridicule factor. I think we're almost done here. Oh, we got time for this one. How much time have we got left? Okay, thank you. Lindsay calls us, and he says, I found this deer leg. This is the first time we met Lindsay, by the way. And this leg has been sitting here for 5 days, untouched. The knuckle here snapped. Like usually if you break a leg, you're going to break it somewhere else. You don't break it on the knuckle. It's a pretty tough thing. Anyway, that's how Sasquatch kill that's how they kill deer, snapping their legs and their necks. This lay there for 5 days and nothing touched it. You think the mice and the porcupines would have come and had a chew, but no. So we're pretty sure this is a Sasquatch kill. We went down into the area where the Sasquatch, there was tracks, there was changes in direction of the deer, so we know they were being chased. There was fur, and we found 1 or 2 deer skeletons.
Yeah, in that bed?
Yeah. So this is what, 6 or 7 o'clock at night, sun's going down a little bit, and we hear whoops coming from the north, then we hear a whoop from the south, then we hear one from the northeast, and oh, It's a Sasquatch hunting party coming in here. Sounds a little bit like barred owl, but it's not quite barred owl. So we stood there, we weren't afraid, the adrenaline was going a little bit. And they kept whooping, I don't know, every 15, 20 seconds. And then they figured we're not moving, so they started moving away.
The dogs stopped barking. It
This-
was deathly quiet.
The dogs stopped. The area dogs had been barking, and all of a sudden they're quiet. And they moved off. So that was our little bit of adrenaline rush. We got a recording of it. We sent the recording to Victoria University. And it sounds a little bit like a barred owl, but there's a little growl or little grunt at the end there, which takes it out of the barred owl area. It's them mimicking. They do pretty good mimicking. I think that's all I got. What's the last one? Well, that's just it.
Yeah, that's it.
Any questions?
What about the woo aspect? Anything like that?
You would bring that up. Anybody heard of the Sasquatch people by Kiwani? Kiwani? Okay, I'm in contact with Kiwani. I bought his book, The Sasquatch People, around 2012, and I read chapters 1 and 1.5, and I put it down. It wasn't that he was wrong, it was that I wasn't ready for it. And then by about 2018, I'd had enough experience with the woo-woo factor and Sasquatch that I picked up his book again, and I read the rest of it. I got in touch with him. We talked, we agreed on a lot of things. Sasquatch are interdimensional. They can change their frequency. That's how they do it. Now, I'm into frequency and sound and vibration and all that. That's what I do. So it made sense to me. You hear a loud fan. It has a discrete frequency and other acoustic properties. Let's put it that way. If I generate the same sound and it's out of phase by 180 degrees, you won't hear anything because the one cancels the other. So it can be 120 decibels, but you're not going to hear it if I'm doing the same thing 180 degrees out of phase. That's how acoustics work. That's how science works, how physics works. So if a being is able to change its frequency so it's out of phase with us, it becomes invisible. You can't see it. And it doesn't have to be very much out of sequence to disappear. Everybody familiar with the golden ratio? Okay? Golden ratio, Fibonacci sequence. Water has memory. Water is the only thing that's different to all other elements. Most things expand when they get hot, and water doesn't. It goes to steam. When things freeze, they contract. No, water expands. It cracks pretty well anything it touches. So it's different. And the golden ratio tells me, because of the value of the golden ratio, anything that's just 1/10,000th of a degree out of sequence is in a different dimension. There's more logic to be in multi-dimensions than just us being here. I mean, and there's just so many things there that open my mind, and the Sasquatch people, I've discovered several other. There was a tsunami creature that was filmed during the Japanese tsunami. People have seen that. This thing just came out of the water and it disappeared into thin air because it can change its frequency. We found several other animals, but it's too big a subject to discuss right now. Just know that it's real. It's not just us in this dimension. There's multiple dimensions, and there's lots more that we just don't understand. Thank you.